Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan and DY Music Radio. What up, Mr. Cruz?
I'm so delighted to see you.
Likewise.
Let us take a moment to let our listeners and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music, but we're here to be your number one source for music, business, news, and trends from around the globe.
That's right.
All right, first out of the gate, we have to talk about it. Here in the States, one of the largest retailers out there still is called Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
Best Buy is a place where it's kind of like all in one kind of spot where you can get like computer accessories, speakers, TVs, etc. But they also always had a vinyl section or a CD section, a music little department, if you will. And over the years, you know that we've all noticed that these were once giant stores have now over time been shrunken down to a little aisle or a little section in the store, right? Well, now Best Buy has made the big announcement that they are pulling CDs entirely. They will not sell CDs at any of their stores throughout the States at all.
Well,
we knew this was coming. There's no surprise
of course,
there.
you know, because everything is now at the fingertips online.
Well, here's the thing. That's a good point. One of the reasons, of course, as Eddie alluded to, is that people can order things online. But why are we talking about something that seems so obvious over time? Well, we have to pay attention to the implications of making that kind of announcement. Target, here in the States, happens to be another juggernaut in terms of retail outfits. They, too, are strongly considering, according to some reports, phasing out CDs entirely. So, unfortunately, these one of our sort of places where you can still buy music in the States are at these franchise-y kind of large outfits. And when they remove CDs, that's the only thing left, really. So they're basically not going to have any sort of music available to purchase at these larger stores. So Target is...
Now, be mindful that we're in a world of technology, that they might not sell CDs, but who's to say that they won't be offering you other types of services that involve music? You get X amount of music with you get free music when you buy your next Apple purchase from Best Buy or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I think that's happening too. I think that's a good point, that oftentimes you get these sort of one-year subscriptions to Apple Music or even Netflix if you buy a television or something. So that is happening already, but the complete phase out of CDs in the market, it might be spelling interesting transition in the game. In particular, here's a quick little history. Back in 2001, the U.S. sold 800 million CDs. The end of last year, they sold 89 million. So it's this huge drop.
A huge drop. And again, technology has a lot to do with that. You know, with the advent of streaming and people being able to choose their own little playlists and all of that type of stuff, it becomes an inconvenient purchase for somebody to buy a CD what are you playing them in?
Exactly.
We're not carrying around little Walkmans and, well, not the Walkmans, the little CD players. And, you know, same with when CDs came in, cassettes phased out.
Yes. But the interesting thing is a couple of things. Number one, it also affects sort of CD and laptop manufacturing companies, because even now when you're going into a Best Buy and you're buying a brand new computer, chances are it doesn't have a CD DVD drive even attached to it anymore. Why? Because of this implication. What happens over time, if less people are using CDs,
it's no need to include the feature.
that. Yeah, now they make sure you have your little USB, that little flash stick, and that's it, right? But I think this is really interesting because out of all this, the one kind of format that's still there in the trenches and hasn't gone away and actually just enjoyed another rise in sales was vinyl. So it's interesting that while these outfits like Best Buy have announced, and presumably Target may announce they too will pull CDs from their stores, I wonder if we'll still see a sharp increase in vinyl, because one of the big arguments is that people don't want to hold anything anymore. They don't care to hold anything. Like you and I want to look at it, look at the credits, the liner notes, and all that stuff, but Young people don't care about any of that, according to these kinds of reports. But vinyl is still this thing that's come up. You know, they've moved another 9 million vinyl last year.
Well, we know why that is. We don't know, but we can suspect a lot of it has to do with people wanting to be pure vinyls. Or feel that the sound of vinyl is such.
And we also talked about once upon a time where people, when CDs came out, they were sort of repurchasing their collection again in that format. And so you'll see that in vinyl right now. Some of the reports are saying that some are interested in buying, say, Britney Spears, Hit Me One More Time, as it's such a popular album, but to have it on vinyl is kind of cute. So they are saying, though, that there used to be this feeling like it was going to be a novelty, it was going to wear out, this vinyl resurgence, but it hasn't. So I wonder if you'll see more streaming and vinyl as this thing that sort of coexists, but CDs, it seems to be on the way, all the way out. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down more of this business news. I got to talk about what's going on with YouTube, and I want to get your thoughts about it. And we got to talk about net neutrality, the update, right here on the Freedom Radio Hour.
91.6 FM, y'all.
Singer, songwriter, performer, and host Eddie Nicholas debuts his fantastic new album. Released in conjunction with mixtape sessions and Deck Music imprint, Eddie brings you a 16-track album full of fantastic jams upon jams, perfect for any dance floor. The album includes records like Fall in Love, Goomba, and Groovin'. Check out EddieNicholas.com and TrackSource for his brand new LP.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of 91.6 FM and DWildMusicRadio.com. We are so glad that you came back to join us, and I'm Eddie Nicholas, and I'm sitting here with my fantastic, wonderful, knowledgeable co-host, the one and only Mr.
Adam Cruz. I love that. Every time he gives his own little flair with that. That's hilarious. Thanks for coming back with us. Before we broke on the Freedom Radio Hour, we were talking about the latest goings on with phasing out of CDs here in the States. Our biggest retailers are deciding to pull CDs out of their stores, in which case there's an implication there. We were talking, though, how vinyl has still been this thing where it still has existed. It hasn't quite gone away, and we're happy about that. I do want to talk about, though, quickly about this vinyl issue that still persists. You see, there's a big problem on the independent niche market in terms of vinyl. What do I mean? Smaller independent music labels that wish to press up vinyl have to contend with a huge problem across the country. What is that problem? There's not enough vinyl presses to go around. So what has happened over the years is that a bottleneck has occurred, leaving the most high-end, the most popular, the ones with the biggest muscle type labels get their things pressed up first, then leaving the independent guy on the back. So for those on the independent side who wish to pursue vinyl as an opportunity to make some money, be aware that oftentimes you'll still have to contend with the fact that there just simply aren't enough presses to go around. Some have really made this hunt when vinyl started to really sort of fade away, went and hunted up places that still had a press and made sort of to the there was a bidding war that occurred to get the press because they're so rare. But it's going to be interesting that across the globe you still see this need for vinyl, which speaks to sort of against that argument that people don't want to hold things anymore. Vinyl is very much a touch thing,
And again, it goes back to those people that are vinyl purists.
Right.
Because for the average person, they could care less.
Right.
The bulk and the nature of all of that. And sadly, while it may be making a resurgence, it's making the resurgence for a specific group of people.
Right.
Not the mass people. So you're going to see an extremely high cost in what you pay for vinyl now as for what you used to pay for it back in the day.
Exactly. And also, I think to your earlier point, CDs, going back to that, is not going away. And simply, you could just order it, say, on an Amazon or some of these various online websites. Because
and with stores, if it's not selling, that's just a product that's taking up space.
Yes, exactly.
and evidently, from how I'm hearing it, that's what it is. People are not purchasing them, and they're taking up space because, as we see from year to year, you use the analogy, they were shrinking.
Yes.
Until you had classification of certain music being classified as world music, folk music. You had all these classifications that you never saw before in order to incorporate what limited amount of music that they had on CDs there.
Exactly. Well, speaking of shrinking and adjusting, YouTube has made a really huge decision that I was dying to get your feedback on. YouTube doing sort of the same thing that we're just talking about, reevaluating its monetization program. They have a partner program that if you have a channel on YouTube, you can monetize your channel. What does that mean? You can click a little button when you upload your video that says monetize, and then you have to sit through an ad before you're able to view the content, and it gives you parameters. Maybe you want to have the ad play over the video, at the end of the video, at the beginning, that kind of thing. Well, YouTube has decided to demonetize all smaller channels. So anyone with 1,000 subscribers or less, there have been completely demonetized. They haven't blocked the channel. You can still upload, but you can no longer earn money.
Okay.
Okay, so now this is supposed, some are saying this is actually not a bad thing, because even for those that were having their video channels monetized, how much money did you actually make? Most everybody answered nothing or very little. So they're saying whether you have the ability to have your videos monetized or not, you're not making the money from YouTube by offering that. So what does it matter to you? What do you think?
Well, those that can get it, get it. You know, because there are some people that have hundreds of thousands of viewers.
Right.
And therefore, you know...
Well, this doesn't apply to them.
No, but you know, because profitable.
Yes.
For them, for those people that don't.
Well, I have a huge problem with this
cares?
that I want to just talk about and get off my chest, which is, okay, YouTube, I actually don't have an issue with the announcement itself. I do have an issue with the fact that you are worth billions of dollars that you wouldn't have had it not been for content creators and providers that had music for you to make the billions that you made. So you've now just demonetized even the little video channels, because you think that what you want to do is, your claim is you're creating a barometer, a benchmark for what's called community standards. But that's fishy. Why? Because you too even have your high-end celebrity YouTubers, as they call them, has been accused of putting up disgraceful content. Like one celebrity YouTuber posted going to China and posting the suicide of somebody, and so that is a violation of YouTube's terms and conditions, and so that was an issue. But that channel is still being monetized. So it's like, if you want to have this benchmark, YouTube, you got to fix some of your issues around what you are claiming works within your community standards and what doesn't, because it seems like you're playing favoritism.
And you know, again, I could see YouTube looking at it as, okay, we might not be giving you any type of monetary thing, but we're still allowing you to put your content up.
And that's free. Their statement. Let's take another break. When we come back, let's break it down even further. All right?
91.6 FM.
Yes, thank you. Mixtape Sessions is proud to present singer, songwriter, actor, and Mixtape Sessions recording artist Jacqueline Graham. Produced by DJ and label head Adam Cruz, the Jacqueline plea includes Inside My Head and You Showed Me Your Love. Check out Jacqueline Graham and the Jacqueline EP, available to stream everywhere now. Mixtape Sessions, music for the people.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back live on Capital Radio, 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sudan, and on the web at dwobmusicradio.com. You're deep in the zone right here on the Freedom Radio Hour, where your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. I'm sitting here with my fantastic partner,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome back, 91.6 FM and DWOB Music Radio.
Yes. So the other thing I want to talk about, so let's go back to this discussion. I feel like we had a little bit more that we could talk about, which is YouTube's decision to demonetize the smaller channels, those that have 1,000 subscribers or less, which includes us, by the way, to keep it transparent. the Freedom Radio Hour on YouTube doesn't have 1,000 subscribers, so our videos have been converted from monetized to demonetized. And again, we weren't seeing money anyway, so it doesn't matter. It didn't quite matter to us, but I do have an issue with the fact that YouTube has made billions of dollars off the back of the music, that they're so quick to set these sort of weird parameters, and it's not really democratic. It's more like, we're going to create this barometer, but even our YouTubers that are really famous will let certain things slide. Whereas for you, the smaller guy, no. You have a very stringent sort of policy. And I also think like YouTube might be setting us up for some failure, because right around the corner, somebody's developing the next ability for you to go live, stream, upload, create content that will be the next popular thing, leaving YouTube in the dust, I argue. I think Facebook actually is trying to be that person.
Well, as far as live content, Facebook is. I don't think YouTube, because I have both.
Right.
And a lot of times I don't record live from YouTube, but I record live from Facebook. The good thing about YouTube is that when you record live on YouTube, it also saves a copy of the work that you did to the site itself, but it also saves it to the device that you copied it from.
I see. So double save. Okay, yeah, that totally works. I think so what we're looking at throughout the year, it looks like in 2018, is this uptick in more streaming, more advances around streaming. But I think we ought to be a bit careful, because now we don't have sort of the physical goods to counterbalance the online presence. So CDs are sort of out of the market. We talked about them being pulled from like Best Buy and other big stores over time. We talked about the little thing that vinyl's doing, but really you have streaming as this number one source for your
because anything that you want as far as video content or media content is already provided for you. It's just a matter of pressing the button and looking it up, and boom.
Which is why we are so concerned with the speed at which you're able to access the internet while you're streaming all this content, because in the future, that'll be your only means to have access to music and videos and shows. Speaking of which, let's talk about a quick update regarding net neutrality. The head of the FCC, his name is Ajit Pai, has made it his business to dismantle net neutrality norms that says that all data that we transmit on the internet is created equally. That means that there's no engaging in throttling or blocking or slowing down of the competition's data transmission in favor of us if we were in bed with the right company. So net neutrality, there was this rule in place for a long time to create equality around data transmission. Ajit Pai comes around, says, screw all that. We're going to put net neutrality norms to bed. And they announced in December that they were repealing net neutrality. Well, that takes time. We're now into the first quarter of the new year, and Ajit Pai and his crew have removed the mandate for telecom corporations to require this equality in the data. So now, just Friday, they have decided to pull that mandate out, finally, according to them. So the other thing, though, is that while this is happening on the federal level, the states have fought back. There's 14 states that have already signed bills that says that they will remain neutral in terms of their data. In other words, we're not adhering to the federal mandate. We are going to create a state mandate that says that we will create all data equally. So any of you providers out there, the Verizons and Comcasts of the world, if you want to mess with us and say these 14 states, you must adhere to our rules, in which case the data is to be treated equally. Forget what they say on the federal level. You actually are starting to see more and more of that, where the states have turned their back on what the federal government is trying to tell them they need to do.
Because they see that as detrimental to their constituents of their states.
Exactly.
Especially those constituents who rely on internet capabilities, and you have a lot of rural communities that relied on that net neutrality. And taking that away, now you have everybody wanting to be competitors.
Exactly.
Who has the best competition, who has the best prices for the fastest speed. But we're already seeing that in cases where Verizon and these other services already offer a high-speed service, and they are asking for you to pay extra for it.
For these sort of fast lanes and all that.
So, that's already out there.
Yes, but I do feel that it's very promising that you have these 14 states that are fighting back against
and New Jersey is one.
Yes, and then 7 more have been proposed. So they're adding, and this number is increasing. It tells you one major takeaway, that you, the person watching this or listening, ought to consider getting more involved at the grassroots level in your local politics or state politics. Why? Because as you see in these moments, it's the states that are going to decide how their state residents are going to be affected by what happens on the federal level.
And at least here in the United States, we have an administration that really wants the states to take on a lot of the responsibility. But
there are implications for that too, because now you're basically going to have sort of, some argue over time, you'll have 50 separate countries essentially that'll be united, but not really, because they're not adhering to what's happening on the federal level. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Freedom Radio Hour. Make it your business to download and check out Mr. Eddie Nicholas, his debut album entitled Do You Want to Dance? Fantastic 16-track LP. Check it out today. Of course, check out DJAdamCruz.com for more of my fantastic music, and download our free app for Android and iTunes users. Search out Freedom Radio Hour within Google Play and the App Store. Okay. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead. See you next time.
Peace and love. 91.6 FM, DWildMusicRadio.com, FreedomRadioHour.com. Peace.